So like I said, JD Vance had a great 18-minute speech in Germany where he went after European leaders, about lots of different stuff. There are egregious violations of free speech, anti-gun policies. They're obviously, like we said in the earlier segment, their need to have their own standing military, which was booed and then cheered later on when Zelensky said the exact same thing. But this one really stuck out the most to me. Go ahead and check out this segment from that speech here.
And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person. But no, this last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizens suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
Oh, it's not in retreat, it's dead. So he even made some of these so-called leaders cry. Grown man Christoph Husken, the head of the Munich Security Conference, was crying as he walked off stage. Grown man, pussy bleeding little bitch, cried. Here's another clip with go ahead, play the clip. Marco Rubio on CNN, and watch what this dastardly bitch tries to do. And
he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
So this is the assault on free speech. This is what they're doing. They're intentionally misattributing free speech to the Holocaust. They're trying to demonize it because anything associated with the Holocaust is automatically bad, right? So subconsciously in people's minds. So if they can plant that seed that free speech, not authoritarian government regimes, but free speech led to the Holocaust, that'll make more people more sympathetic to, various restrictions on it, whether it be online or political speech or whatever the case may be. This is how they do it. They plant the seed, and then you become countries like Scotland, where you can't even pray in your own home privately if you live within a certain amount of, within a certain distance of an abortion clinic. How insane is that? That's completely ludicrous. But this is what they're doing. This is how they demonize free speech. This is why it's so important that even idiots like Kanye West are allowed to have their stupid ideas. Because if you don't there's one of two extremes, guys. There's one of two extremes. You can either say anybody can say anything they want, or we can police speech. And when you police speech, you may start off with good intentions and you may say, yeah, these people that are sympathetic to Nazis, they're the only ones we're coming after, blah, blah, blah. But it never ends with that. And you know it never ends with that, because giving the government the ability to regulate people's speech and preceding it by saying that we're only doing it to limit hate speech is like giving an alcoholic a bottle of whiskey and saying, okay, you can just have one drink. That's it. They're never going to stop. And when he's done with that bottle, he's going to go back and get 3 more. That's how this goes. That's how it's gone throughout the dawn of time. So, since the establishment of governments, if you even give them the ability to limit what people say, they never stop at just hate speech, because nobody can define what hate speech is. To you, hate speech might be somebody saying, yeah, we should bring back concentration camps and put Jewish people in it. But to somebody else, you calling a dude that's clearly a dude, sir, is hate speech, and you should be in jail for that. So it's best that we just don't even...
I am a victim of a hate crime.
I hated it. It's just best that we don't even leave it up for interpretation, and we allow people to be idiots and say stupid things. Because otherwise, inevitably, when you set a precedent, that precedent will be used against you, especially in a country like ours, where power shifts hands drastically every 4 to 8 years. Now, here's an interview.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you could actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese Spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.